That's right. I love those island vibes, man. You know, maybe a little Hawaiian shirt today. Let's rock and roll. This show's called Long Island Changemakers, your boy, the nonprofit sector connector. Tommy D, show's Long Island Changemakers. What is that about, Tommy D? Well, it's in the name. I like to put things like right in the name, like the nonprofit sector connector. You could probably do the math and figure that one out. Now, if you have a show called Long Island Changemakers, you could probably figure out who I bring on. Yes, that's right. Really cool people, friends of mine who are making the island a better place. And that's why I bring those island vibes, those tunes at the beginning, plus I don't know, that reggae music makes me feel nice and chilled out. And when you have this beautiful brain that I have, sometimes you need a little extra help getting chilled out. Eileen Minogue, you're one of the coolest people I know. And I don't know if you know I feel that way about you, but there's about a dozen people that I can know that I could just ask for a favor and send a text. Maybe it's more than a dozen, but I know for sure there's a dozen. But you're like in the top 6 people that I know. If I need a friend to help me out as it relates to the nonprofit sector, I can count on you. Katie McGowan, I can count on Yolanda Rubano Gross. You know, these are my friends in the nonprofit sector that I know I can count on and who will show up and like, I'll be there. Just let me know maybe a half hour before, whatever the heck I'm going to be doing there, but I'll be there. And that, to me, means so much. And I'm grateful for your friendship, and I'm grateful for not just what you're able to do for me, because when I say for me, it's always me just doing something for other people. I'm going to run a panel discussion. I got to moderate this, and I got this opportunity. It happened recently with the Queens Chamber of Commerce. Happened recently with the Hop Hog Industrial Alliance. I want to talk about your background, because, like, I always say, like, when we do Philanthropy in Focus, I do that show, I always say, like, it reminds me of A&E. There was a show on A&E called Biography. You know that show? Yeah. I love that show. And it was a fun show. I don't know if it's on anymore, but I used to watch it all the time, and it would be like, I could tell you about Henry Ford or Milton Hershey, right? It was like these cool stories like about people. And what's the Eileen Minogue biography story? Like, where does that start? Like, I don't even know. We're friends, right? Yeah. But I don't, you know, it's like we're friends, like, and then it's like, but I don't even know your kids' names. Like, we don't have to do that now. But like, it's one of those things, because I always find it interesting, like, in relationships, we have this really cool relationship with people, but then we don't always know, like, all the other stuff. You know that? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm in good company, because you just mentioned some amazing people, and I feel the same way about you. And I think that's why people rise and answer your call, because we know that you would do it for us as well. Thank you. I'm going to cry, so stop. No, you're not. Right. It's possible. Thank you. It wouldn't be the first time. Yeah, it's true. I know. I'm grateful for you. Thank you. No, but I feel, honored to be your friend, and it is. While we might not know each other's kids, there's still a depth of knowledge and relationship, and with that, and I appreciate that. Yeah. I would have to say I'm where I am today because of my mother, to be honest with you. I did not know. Why is that? I'm the youngest of 9, 8 girls and 1 boy. And where does your brother fall in the mix? Girl, boy. They could have stopped there. Would have had a nice little. I have 4, and I would never give up any of my kids, but there's these points where, like, you could have stopped at any given point. But I'm sorry, 8, he has 8 sisters? Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's wild. It was pretty amazing house to grow up in. I mean, was it a big house? No, not really, not necessarily. I always say that. I was just having a conversation with somebody. How did they pull that stuff off, like back then with all his kids? My father worked 3 jobs. You know, my mom was home. She ruled with an iron fist. She did, yeah. And the spoon. The wooden one, and the wooden not an iron spoon. No, the wooden spoon. Yeah. And we knew what we had to do, and did you grow up here in Long Island or in Queens? I grew up in Massapequa. Massapequa, okay. And actually, I bought the family house. So, is that right? Yeah. Oh my God. But she would always tell us, you have to help other people. And from a very young age, we were all ingrained. It was ingrained in us that go help your neighbor. So and so. Well, with Dad's working 3 jobs, so that tells me I'm reading between the lines. But this was not a wealthy family with 9 kids, right? You did what you had to do. But she still said, she wasn't a miser. She said, you still go and you help others. No, she would tell us, so and so needs help. Go help them, and that's really where it came from. So we were constantly. Taught to give to others, never for the grace of God go I was her favorite thing to say. And I actually had cousins. My dad's brother had children who had cystic fibrosis.
So when my daughter was in grade school, a young girl named Christina Cowan, she will always be a part of my story. She had cystic fibrosis, one of the youngest double lung transplants at Duke University. Her family was had to go down there for the transplant, and they needed money. So I just started a fundraiser, and combined our community raised over.
What are you talking about? How many years ago was that?
That was in maybe like 2000 or in that area. Because shortly after that, I started doing other things.
So you raised how much?
Our community raised over $100,000.
You know, Margaret Mead, you know, never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world, because in fact it's the only thing that ever has, right? And what a cool story, because it reminds me of our friend who is Amy Zaslansky, who we just spoke about right before the cameras went on. Not exactly the same, but somebody needed books for the school, and then all of a sudden now there's book fairs, which we'll get into your story, book fairs, but it's, you know, somebody leans in on an opportunity. There's an opportunity, there's some need, and it's very easy to walk away. Yeah. Simple to walk away. Yeah. What's difficult is, like I had somebody I interviewed this morning on Philanthropy in Focus, and he lost his brother to fentanyl poisoning. The man was not overdosed. He took an Adderall, and the Adderall had fentanyl in it. The man would have been 34 yesterday, and he's not. And I said to my guest, Chris Hennessy, I said, Chris, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to create The Raven Is Here. You didn't have to create this nonprofit organization, but you did. And he's in Jacksonville, Texas, and he's helping people with addiction issues, and helping people who are victims of human trafficking. I mean, doing great work. It's a choice, though. It's a choice to lean in. It's a choice for you to say, Christina Cowan, if it's Christina, right? Cowan family needs this money, and you made it happen. That's different. What do you think about that? Like, people don't have to do these things. They choose to. I think, and listen, I wasn't the only one that did that. It was, I might have been sort of the ringleader. Okay. But I know about being the ringleader. Yeah, I know. But it was a group of people, and I think the more good you're around, the more good you want to do. Listen, I've done some not so nice things. I'm not a perfect person in any way, stretch of the imagination. But the more good I'm around, the more good I want to do, and that's where I choose to live right now. Yeah. I choose to be around people like Tommy D. Oh, that's so nice. You know, because it just makes me want to be more and do more and be better. Well, not to be silly and cute for the TV show, but I feel the same way. Like I want to hang with people like you. I mean, the other night I got to speak at Kiwanis, and Beth Buckheiser came out with her partner Jonathan Freed. My friend Phil Maltagatti from United Public Adjusting came out. Katie McGowan was there, and my friend Danny Taylor, who founded Team YOLO and YOLO Strong Foundation, all that stuff. And I said to the crowd, I got to be honest with you, gang, I wasn't prepared. Meaning, I was doing Tommy D. I knew where I was going to go, but I didn't write anything down. It was going to be, I want it right from here, right? And I started out talking about gratitude, and then I was just talking about, like, gang, listen, it's all there. All the crap, all the terrible stories, it's all there if you want to go there. And then there's this other side where the sun rises all the time, and it's all here. If you want to be here and you want to find out about people, healing people who are sick, helping people with food insecurity, getting books in the hands of a child who needs books, 5 million books, we'll talk about that, but like 5 million books, right? That's all there. So you choose who you want to hang out and spend your time with, and to be, and not to be funny about it, but to hear you want to spend your time with me because I'm doing this stuff in the world, well then I'm doing something right. And I got 4 small people, not so small anymore, but the ones who live in my house, my children, that see this, and I think they're better off in learning like your mom taught you. Yeah, I mean, throughout my life I've been fortunate enough to be around some really pretty incredible people. Yeah. That have helped me to get where I am today. From the Christina Cowan event, I actually went to high school with one of the Baldwins, Billy Baldwin, and our good friend Chris Bevilacqua and Jim O'Rourke and Marty. That's your era, this crew? Yeah, this is our crew. We decided to create a community fund for Massapequa, and over the years we raised over $2 million. It was all volunteer. We worked really hard. We had a lot of fun doing it. I bet, yeah. You know, they're just some of the most incredible people I've ever met, and true friends from the heart. And we just made a difference in our community, whether it's scholarships to kids in the high school or helping a family that was,
a kid with cancer, a parent with cancer, or some rare disease. Yes Community Counseling, you talk about mental health. Yes Community Counseling in Massapequa does an incredible job for families that are dealing with all sorts of mental health and issues.
I'm not familiar with them.
Oh, they're amazing. Yes Community Counseling in Massapequa, and so we've supported them over the years. And that's really how it just trickled. Like Amy, I'm an accidental executive director.
How does that, tell me about, we'll get into Amy's story in a bit, but how did you become an accidental executive director? What's that story?
So from the Massapequa Community Fund, I happened to meet a gentleman who was with an organization that flew people for free for medical diagnosis and treatment. And fast forward a long story short, we decided to create our own organization here on Long Island. It started in my basement, and when I left, we were flying, we were doing hurricane disaster relief down in first Texas, Florida, then Puerto Rico and the islands when it was just 2018, I'm sorry, when it was just back-to-back hurricanes. So we flew children with cancer, veterans that needed respite, and retreats, and just increasing opportunities for people to have the best possible chances for survival.
Yeah, again, I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but my brain does this sometimes, but that's choice. It's choice. Yeah. It's a choice to say, somebody else could have done it, right? But you chose to be part of it.
I think for me, it's just, I don't have a choice.
Oh, tell me that. Okay, good.
I feel like in my body, so many times my family have said, stop, don't do it, because it's really takes a toll on your family. Sure. For me, for the organization's name was PALS, for PALS. I had a struggle within myself. For the hurricanes, for instance, there was a mom with her kid who, they were in one of the Virgin Islands, and the first hurricane hit, and they survived it, but they were sleeping under a tree. And then the next hurricane was coming, and the mom was pregnant. It was just the mom, the little girl, and the mom was like 9 months pregnant. Oh my God. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning. My husband's like, "What are you doing? Go to bed." And I said, "I go, we're sitting in we have a roof over our head,
Right. What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get him on a flight. We're trying to get them on a flight."
And how do you know they're under a tree? Like, how does that communication happen?
We actually had some pretty good communications and intel from people that were, just on the ground, feet on the ground. Wow. And we actually had someone who would host them here in the United States, and I just needed to get that plane there. Yeah. So me and my team had to get the plane there, but
did you get the plane there?
We got the plane there, and she delivered in the United States. And the photos of her getting on the plane, I have some tremendous just visuals of the work that we accomplished as a team. Yeah. It's never me, it's never me.
No, I know that, but it's
always a team effort.
But it also, when you say team, like there has to be somebody that is passing the ball and then somebody who's receiving the ball. So, I've gotten better about accepting gratitude for like the stuff I'm doing in the world, because for a long time I would just, and this is whatever, it's my own stuff, right? But I'm like, hey, it's no big deal, it's what I do, no, but it's not. So I'm reflecting that back to you, like that is Eileen Minogue. I mean, it is, and that's why the show is called Long Island Changemakers, because I'll go back to it. You say you don't have a choice. Okay, great. I think you did though. You did,
yeah, it's just,
because you could just say, I'm done,
Yeah.
But I think it's something like people like us who it's just like, you just keep going. You just keep putting in the time.
It fuels me. It fills my soul.
Yeah.
It gives me, it's like when I go to church and I come out and I said, okay, I'm filled for the week. Hopefully I'm not cursing in the parking lot because somebody cut me off, but it's just, I think it's innate, and it definitely, it impacts, your family when you're around it. You constantly, there may have been times where my children felt like I chose others that were more needed than them, so it's
that is tough.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to, that happens to me a lot. Yeah. That conversation. And I don't know that I'm making the right decision in a lot of cases. Yeah. Like I know tomorrow morning I will be in Massapequa, at Marjorie Post Park at 10 a.m. Probably on stage, because that's what happens. But I'm on the, I have been for many years on the advisory board for Best Buddies of New York City.
We love that.
Yeah, and they do. So we just rolled out into an advisory board, a Long Island advisory board. I hooked up with them because, in memory of my cousin Linda, we have the Lindy Lou Foundation, and we've opened up several school chapters for Best Buddies. But I'll be down there in the park tomorrow, but I'll be finagling. Like, I know I get there at 10, and I know there's one of my boys has, it says, we have this whiteboard in the kitchen, and it says 11 o'clock baseball game or 11:30 lacrosse game. So one of my boys has a game. We'll see. The jury's out. I'll let you know where that ends up. But so I'll shoot down to Massapequa from the North Shore, do what I got to do, and I'll shoot back up, and you know, I'm not looking for people to tell me what's right or wrong, but some people might say, Tommy D, you know, you should be with your family, and I say, well, I'm doing both. I'm going to do both, you know. And
you're leading by example.
I think so.
That's what my mother did.
Yeah, sure.
Right? You know, well, we might not have had it all. We shared what we had.
Yeah.
And that's really what she teaches me. I used to, for a long time.
Has your mom passed?
My mom passed when I was 29.
Oh, wow.
I just had my daughter, and...
Where do you fit in this 9?
I'm the 9th.
Oh, you're the baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So my mom's one of 6. My dad's one of 5. And that was like the thing, like a lot of kids, you know, but I just, where did you stack all these kids? What's
Listen,
the
we had
top
bunk
and bottom?
beds.
There's a lot of, was it like a 15-year range?
My sister is 14 years old. The oldest is 14 years older
down
than
to
me.
you.
I was 5 years old driving her to college. You know, with not I was driving. I was in the car. I was in the car with my mother
I figured out you were
when we were driving to college.
Wow, you're a baby, 5 years old.
Yeah, I was 5. Yeah. So, and actually, her daughter is 9 years younger than me, so I'm closer in age to my niece than I am to my sister.
I remember that with like my grandmother and stuff. She was very close to her niece because my grandmother was like one of 11. And interesting story. The story goes like this: her older siblings were born in Spain. Her father came to this country, and the parents split. Then they got back together somewhere along the line. And that's my grandmother's born in that next batch of kids.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Like, I didn't know that for the longest time. I just found that out recently, like the last couple of years. But she's very similar to you, like hung out with her nieces because they were more close in age, because that could have been, who knows, a 20-year, 25-year gap or whatever. But, and back then, women had children when they were younger or something like that, you know, so. I'll
tell you, I think it's one of our biggest blessings, and if you ask, 2 of my siblings have passed already, but we all feel beyond blessed.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, blessed. No, to me, I feel blessed for the family that we have. We were so close, we are so close, and, you know, there's nothing that we wouldn't do for each other.
How many, okay, so that's not the Minogue family, right?
My maiden name is Healy.
The Healy family. So how many? So my mother is Feeney, all right, and so in the Feeney family, we had my cousin Linda passed, but we had 20 first cousins. I'm one of 3, my brother, sister, and I, and then there was 17 of us. How many Healys are there?
21 grandchildren.
Yeah, 21 grandchildren. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man.
Yeah. I mean, our Christmases were like 65 people.
It's bananas. Crazy, crazy. Christmas Eve is big for us.
It's scaled back a little bit, but...
well, because now you're at a different thing, because people ripple off, right?
Yeah.
You know, the grandchildren, stuff like that, get their own families,
I'm thinking when I was looking about getting a new job, leaving PALS, you know, transitioning out of PALS.
Were you like interviewing at that point? Like, how did you find? Did you find Book Fairies? Did Book Fairies find you? Let's tell them about Book Fairies. We think we're, you know what it is? We think we're 2 celebrities and everybody knows us, right? So we got. Tell everybody.
I'm currently the executive director for Book Fairies here on Long Island, and in 2019 I was no longer with PALS. PALS, we decided.
So you were looking, at that point you were trying to figure out what's next.
I was looking for my next status, and my sister at the time, Catherine, was battling ovarian cancer, so I was with her all the time, looking, trying to figure out, and it was I was looking at another job, which was regarding children with cancer, specific cancer. And this thing, and I remember her saying, Eileen, nobody's going to die if they don't get books over the weekend, but you're still doing really good stuff. You're still making a difference in this world. she called to my attention times when you know, her son's wedding, and it was the, you know, the cocktail hour, and I'm out on a phone regarding a flight. You know, the times that other people noticed you were not present are what really made me think about what I'm doing and what's my next step. Is it going to be a work-life balance? Can I still make a difference in the world?
Meaning in this new thing, if you were assessing book fairies?
Yes.
To see if there was real impact there that, got it. Okay.
Yeah, because you know, I was so drawn to helping families in need. And quite frankly, I didn't realize the need, the hole that Amy Zaslansky filled when she started Book Fairies.
Yeah. Who is this woman you're talking about?
Amy Zaslansky. She's incredible. She's the one that started Book Fairies. She read about a teacher who did not have access to books, and she said, well, I have books, I'll give you my books. And you know, 5 million books later, here we are. But 1 in 4 Americans is functionally illiterate. 25% of the children that are in school right now have the potential to growing up to be functionally illiterate.
What is that? What is the social determinants of that? What's that look like?
Not, you know, access to books is one of the barriers. You know, reading, access to books in the homes, reading in the homes, schools. There's a puzzle to it. But one of the pieces to the puzzles is access to books. And so many of the children here on Long Island don't have access to books in their home. Long Island and New York City, they don't have access to books in their homes. There are teachers who don't have enough books in their classroom that are, you know, there's standards that a number of books you should have in your classroom. And believe it or not, there are actually schools that don't have functional working libraries because they don't have the funding for the librarian, they don't have the funding for the books.
On Long Island?
Long Island
and in the 5 boroughs. Yeah, which is like, that was a heck of an education for me, to be honest. Like, I don't claim to know a lot of things, but I live on the North Shore, Nassau County. I'm raising my 4 kids there. At the time, I met you all, really, Amy, and then met you. I remember the night we met down in down like Freeport on the Nautical Mile, and this was like happening, right? It was like and at the time I had kids. They were in the elementary schools, and if you walk into that elementary school, my kids go. I still have one in that school. There's a library as soon as you walk in, and then there's libraries in the classrooms, and there's books all over my house. So I had no context of this, and I've learned through the years in knowing you guys what this is like, but that's not typical. And we know, you and I, and many of us here on Long Island realize that your zip code determines much of your situation and much of your future. You know, to say, and I always use this as an example because I grew up in Franklin Square, and it's an easy example for me to relate to, how Garden City and Hempstead are connected to each other, and they're so far apart, right? And I'm sure you can give me an example of where that happens in Suffolk County, but you know, if you walk down where the car dealerships are in Garden City, and you walk a little further north from Hempstead into Garden City, it's a different world. It's a completely different world. I had no concept, though, that people didn't have access to books.
I didn't either, and you know, I met with Amy, and we had a great conversation. We have a lot of similarities in the ways in which we go about things with nonprofits, and I felt like I could really make a difference. They were in the position that the company was in at the time was no funding, you know, no infrastructure. Amy's created an incredible job with the programs, moving the books. She was doing incredible, but you know, she was sitting here today, she said, you know, she wasn't a fundraiser, and those weren't things that she focused on. And I felt like with my background and where I came from and what I had done at PALS, I was able to bring that to the table and really make a difference.
Yeah, and I know that you have made an incredible difference, because you and I have talked about this offline in so many different ways, and just the amount of revenue that now is able to sit in the coffers, and you're in a different position, of strength. That being said, if you want to donate to Book Fairs, they'll still take some of your dough. Please bring it over. But and a lot of what I've tapped into you for is what I would call infrastructure. And infrastructure, let's just call it what it is, Salesforce.com. In a lot of cases, I say, hey, I need you to jump on this call with this other executive director of this team to help them. That I always kind of steal from you, that one source of truth, which was necessary, which was a game changer. So if you had to talk to people who are, whether they be business people or nonprofit people, a little bit about setting up that one source of truth and the value there?
Yeah, I mean, I had done it. Listen, when you are starting, it started in my basement, the last organization. I was fortunate that my co-founders and the board had a decent, they were well funded. We were well funded.
Okay.
So to start out with, I didn't have to worry about that like I did here at Book Fairies. But all the infrastructure and everything that was brought in was pretty much, you have to be nimble. You have to be, try and figure out where you plug in the holes. And I learned about Salesforce as a free tool for nonprofits, and I brought it into PALS, and it helped me to manage my contacts. Everything was on spreadsheets and what have you. So I brought all that knowledge and experience into Book Fairies, and it enabled us to go from 25 different spreadsheets to one source of truth, right? Or, we have QuickBooks, we have, we use MailChimp, but all of that integrated.
From a CRM, from managing volunteers, I mean, you can go in, if I wanted to volunteer next week at a book fair, a community book fair, I can go in and put in hours and all this, and that's all run through that engine of Salesforce, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we've really pretty much been able to use everything, everything systemically done. So I was able to take, when I first started, Sherry, our amazing, incredible program
Just saw her
director.
last week. She came up to the North Shore. We did a little thing.
She's incredible.
She's
so passionate about the mission. She was part-time at the time. We had $80,000 in the bank, and we had like 25 spreadsheets. Yeah. So the first thing I did start with was infrastructure, and we were able to get all the most of the volunteer work, all that stuff out of emails and spreadsheets, all being done systemically through Salesforce, which, I got an admin that I work with at my last organization, 2 admins that I work with. And I used that money to invest in the systems that would enable me to hire more people. So every year I tried to figure out, where do I invest more money, or what tools do I need to invest more money in? And we're now at a point where we're moving 1.2 million books a year, all done systemically through our system. People sign up to drop off books, to pick up books, to receive books, to volunteer. Everything's done through our website. If you go to our website, there's links all over it, and everything pretty much, even our donations dump into Salesforce. Yeah. We wouldn't be here today. Now, I should get money from Salesforce. We should get money from Salesforce.
We should. Salesforce, if you're listening, we would like some money for Book Fairies. Yeah, we're going to run on time, and I don't want to do that, but it's just the thing about life. I don't really believe time is actually a thing, but when I see a little clock in front of me, I guess I got to believe it's a thing. Yeah. This show is about Long Island Changemakers, and we talk a little bit about Book Fairies, but I'm again to say I'm grateful for you and what you do for the sector, our nonprofit sector. What do you think about our nonprofit sector here on Long Island? I mean, we hang it at the Imagine Awards and all the cool stuff. What's your thoughts just generally?
I mean, I love it. I love the people. Like I said before, you mentioned some of my favorite people in the city, in the organizations. Sereni & Associates, they're an incredible company that merged profit with purpose with the Imagine Awards. It's one of my favorite events last week. My favorite saying is, we all serve more powerfully when we work together. Yeah. And that's what you're doing here today. That's what our partners like Yolanda, or, we all try to figure out, how do we work together? How do we make it work? Right. Can I get Nosh? Can we get a book?
I was like, I want these books up at Nosh.
Yeah, how can we do it? 100%. So that's what I love about it, and much like you, I could pick up a phone and call a lot of people. I'm friends with a lot of the executive directors, program directors, assistants. I don't care who you are. If you're a good person, I want to know you, and I want to be around you. And 100%. I'm very, I love what I do. I'm grateful that I get paid, and I can, set a nest egg away, because there were many years when I wasn't really getting paid for it. So my husband's like, at some point we want to retire. You can't work for free forever. Yeah. But I love it. I love it. I think we're very fortunate, our communities are very fortunate to have some incredible leaders and organizations that are vested in their problems, that are willing to be there. And my nephew died of brain cancer. He fought it for 7 years, and all he wanted me to say, all he wanted from doctors and nurses was that, do you have me? And he didn't want them to say, whatever. He know my name, know who I am, and know that you have me. Yeah. And that's what I say to my people when I'm around them. Do they know that we have them? Yeah. If it's a teacher that's crying with us that needs books for their classroom, or they have a kid that has no books in their homes, do we have them? Yeah, we got you. We got you.
We got you. We got you, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you for all you do for all of us.
You're gonna make me cry. We can't do that. It's my show. I choose not to cry on my show anymore. Not until next week. This show is called Long Island Changemakers. I'm Tommy D. Eileen, Minogue, Book Fairies, and so many other important things here on Long Island. I appreciate you all for checking in. I'll see you next week. This has been another In Focus production. See you later. Bye.